The scariest thing that I have ever seen was a ghost caught on camera inside an abandoned house. And to this day, I still don't know how it's possible. So let me explain everything. So last summer, I decided to go check out an abandoned house with my friends. We all thought that there would be some sort of creepy crawlies, or maybe even some vandalism. But instead, we walked through the front door and saw something that we could not believe. It looked like someone had literally sucked all the color from the house. The walls were white, the furniture was white, the curtains were white, and everything just looked gray and colorless. It was also really hot outside, but inside the house, it was freezing cold. We walked upstairs and we could hear footsteps behind us. Now, at first, we thought it was probably just the wind, but then we turned around and we saw no one. It was weird because the steps were coming from the room right beside us, yet there was no one inside. Then we heard some more footsteps. This time they were louder and closer, and before any of us could say anything, the door slowly opened up on its own. We all stared at each other in shock. No one dared to open that door, so eventually we just decided to move on and check out the rest of the house. That's when we found this old diary sitting on top of the desk. Inside the diary it said, "This house is cursed. If you stay here for too long, you will never leave." As soon as I read that, I started feeling really scared and uneasy, so I quickly shut the book and we all left the room. None of us wanted to spend another second in that house. However, what we didn't know at the time was that this house used to belong to a very wealthy family who tragically died in a fire many years ago. Apparently, the mother had lit up a candle and then went upstairs to bed and forgot about it. And by the time she realized it was too late and the entire house was engulfed in flames, sadly, all 4 members of the family perished in the fire, and no one knows if they died from the fire or from trying to escape. As we were walking away from the house, I felt something brush up against my leg. At first, I thought it was probably just a bush or something, but then I realized that I was being followed. I turned around and I saw this girl sitting on the porch swing. She looked like she was wearing a white nightgown and a bonnet. And the scariest part was that none of us had actually seen her enter the property. We checked everywhere, but we couldn't find another entrance. She just sat there staring at us, and it felt like she was trying to communicate with us. I honestly felt like this was a ghost, but I tried to convince myself that it was just a person who was playing a prank on us. After a while, she finally stood up and slowly walked towards us. As she came closer, we could see that she was dragging herself along the ground like she was made out of wax. And she didn't seem to feel the heat at all. And that's when I grabbed my camera and started recording. I felt like this moment was too strange to be real, so I kept telling myself that if this actually was a ghost, then this would be the perfect chance to capture it on video. When she got close enough, I asked her, "Are you a ghost?" But she didn't answer. She just continued to walk towards us in silence. Then all of a sudden, she vanished into thin air. I was completely shocked, but that's when I noticed something strange in my video footage. In this clip, you can see that the trees are moving in the background. And normally, I wouldn't think twice about it, but these trees were dead. They hadn't moved a single time since I first saw them years ago. I'm not sure if this video will prove anything, but I feel like it captures exactly how eerie and creepy the situation really was. Because when you watch it back, you can see that the light is constantly changing. And I'm pretty sure that there was not a single cloud in the sky that day. The sun was shining directly down on us the whole time, but somehow the light keeps changing. Like sometimes it's really bright, then suddenly it becomes dark and gloomy. Even though I only spent a few minutes in this house, it felt like an eternity.
Ice.
And I honestly felt like I was being watched the entire time. But that's not even the scariest part. When I got home, I decided to look up the history of this house and that ES. When I found out about the family who used to live there, I searched their names online, and I found out that they all died in a house fire. But strangely, all of their pictures looked extremely recent, like they were taken just a few years ago. I mean, does anyone know why they would have updated their social media pages with pictures of themselves? I mean, they must have known that this was going to happen, but then I did something else. I went to their graves, and it was the weirdest thing ever. All 4 of their headstones were brand new, and they had been carved with the dates of their birthdays, but not their death dates. I mean, what kind of sick person would do something like this? But that's not even the scariest part. After doing some more digging, I discovered something that absolutely terrified me. You see, after the fire, the insurance company paid out a large sum of money to the relatives of the family. And apparently they received hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I thought this might be a good story. So I called up the insurance office and I asked them a few questions. That is when I learned that the mother had taken out an additional life insurance policy on her children. And these policies didn't pay out until the kids were 21. But the mother knew that her children would die in the fire. So she set up these policies to ensure that she would receive the payout as soon as they passed away. She basically profited off the death of her own children. To make things worse, I checked public records and the mother had changed her will a week before the fire, so she would be the only beneficiary. She literally killed her husband, daughter, and son so that she could profit off their deaths. But that's not even the scariest part. So you may have noticed that I keep saying that. But that est, because the story just keeps getting worse. So after talking to the insurance office, I went back to the cemetery to take a closer look at the graves. That's when I noticed something strange. Normally when people pass away, their relatives will engrave the dates of their birth and death onto the headstone. But as you can see, this hasn't happened. Instead, their headstones only say their names and the date of their birthdays. I mean, why would someone do something like this? Well, I don't know, but that's not even the scariest part. Okay, so you might think that I'm just making all this up. But I'll give you one guess as to why their relatives have unadded the dates of their death. How long do you think it's been since this family died in a fire? Well, according to public records, it's only been 2 years. It's possible that their relatives are too distraught to visit their graves, but I highly doubt it. In fact, the mother had already received the life insurance payouts for her children. So I'm guessing that she cashed out on her own children's lives. But that's not even the scariest part. Remember how I told you that I felt something brush up against my leg while we were walking away from the house? Well, I now know exactly what it was, because here's my video footage from that day. And if you look closely, you can see that there's a little girl trailing behind me. But that's not even the scariest part. If you look closely, you can see that she's dragging herself along the ground. Remember how I said that the girl looked like she was made out of wax? Well, that's exactly what it looks like in this clip. She's moving in such a strange and unnatural way. It's like she's not actually there. And to make things worse, here's another clip from earlier in the video. And if you look closely, you can see her again, sitting on the porch swing. She appears in several different parts of the video. So here's my question. Can you see her too? Or is she just a figment of my imagination? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And just remember, if you ever see a little girl dragging herself along the ground, then run away.